Hello CX Fiends and welcome back to another episode of CXTV. We are here in beautiful Washington, D.C. at the Pan American Championships at the Armed Forces Retirement Home. Bill, we have the elite men coming up next. Tell me a little bit about the start list.
Oh, this one's going to be a doozy, Bodie. So we have the two that we've been seeing all season long, right? You got Andrew Strohmeyer, you got Eric Bruner. Eric Bruner, 4 Pan Am championships in a row. He's looking for one for the thumb. That'll make it number 5. Andrew Strohmeyer, they've been battling all year long, going head to head. So I think that's what we're all expecting out at the front. However, we got some dark horses in here. Jules Van Kempen has just been crushing lately.
Diamond Julie.
He's proven that he can be up with those leaders. So we'll see if he can play the spoiler. We gave Tyler Clark a little bit of a hard time for racing too much. So maybe he's had some time off and is going to come into this one just absolutely flying. So looking forward to see him out there. And then the spoiler, always, Kerry Werner coming back, racing. You never know what he's going to do, so great to have him in the mix as well. As long as Dylan Zakrajcek is another guy that has been up at the front. So
last week.
So many names,
many
names to mention. This is going to be a doozy. We'll probably see that pair at the front of Bruner and Strohmeyer, but hopefully some other guys will give them a run for their money. Before we get into what happened in this race, let's take a look at the course.
Get into it.
Our lap starts with a long sprint towards the grass. We make a left-hand turn up to the grass. This is where a pinch point's going to happen. We're going to keep our eye on that. After that, we move on to the field, and we head back towards the plank section. There are a couple U-turns right before that, up and over the planks. Once we're through there, we have our marquee centerpiece of this course, which is the M or the W hill. It's dusty, it's turny, you're up and down, it's off-cambered, a lot of fun in that section. After that, we have a long power section back to pit 1. Once to pit 1, we're making a U-turn and we're heading towards the Capitol steps. This is a twisty, turny section, very technical. Once up the steps, we get back into the power section. We make a long drag and a turn onto the back of the course. Once we're on the back of the course, we hit a quick off-camber and up-camber, and then the long off-camber, which is going to be another key feature of this race. This is where a race could be decided. Once through that section, we're back towards pit 2. We have one little off-camber left, and then we're back onto the asphalt, and we're sprinting for home. All right, that's what this course looks like on the map. Let's see what it looks like in real life. We're at the start grid for the 2025 Elite Men's Race in the Pan American Championship, and here is your U.S. National Champion, Andrew Strohmeyer, with the first call-up, gridding into space. There is the biggest rival for him for the day, Eric Bruner, your defending Pan American champion, Jules Van Kempen, Tyler Clark on the front row. Kerry Werner, he has won DCCX in the past. He knows this course probably better than anybody in this field. Here's your full field of racers, about 30 strong, as we take off. And it's Cody Scott. Cody Scott with the early lead, looking for that hole shot, but Andrew Strohmeyer on the inside, not waiting for anyone today. He is all business from the start, taking that hole shot, making it through that first left-hand turn onto the grass, and our course proper here at the Armed Forces Retirement Home. They will head towards our grassy field, making up and around before coming back towards the planks for the first time. Leading into the planks, we've got a tricky U-turn and then a U-turn out of it before we get to our M and W hill section. Strohmeyer still up and out of the saddle. He wants to make this hard for everyone just from go. It is already strung out as our field makes it their way through these early turns. Here is the U-turn right before the planks. Slight uphill planks. Strohmeyer, he's not going to dismount for these. He's up and over and making it through there as our geese have the best seat in the house as they fly south in this fall classic at DCCX. Strohmeyer about a 2-bike length lead over Bruner, Clark. It looks like Cody Scott still up front for comp edge. Jules Van Kempen trying to chase them down with Kerry Werner on his wheel. Tyler Clark, Dylan Zakrajcek there as well. Caleb Swartz in town trying to close this one down. But Strohmeyer already with a 2 or 3 bike length lead. This is the big power section heading towards pit 1. This course is made up of really technical turns followed by these long power stretches. This is one of the biggest one right here as we make it through pit 1. Bruner and Brody McDonald in third place. Brody McDonald with some success at Major Taylor a few weeks before this race. Road racer, dipping his toes into the cyclocross scene. Great to have him here, and he's definitely shaking things up at the front of the field. So we see Cody Scott, Jules Van Kempen, Kerry Werner. First time for the Capital Steps, brought to you by Verge. Strohmeyer, Brunner, and McDonald up, no problem. Here comes Cody Scott. He's not going to dismount for these. He's up riding them. Kerry Werner is going to follow suit. Great thing about riding the steps is you don't have to remount at the top, so you can just keep going and accelerate on the downhill. We're now in the backside of the course. Strohmeyer continues to lead, but Eric Brunner right there. This is this hard up, and this is going to lead to the outskirts of the Armed Forces Retirement Home venue. You can see the gate there towards the fence there towards the neighborhood that abuts it. This is this tricky off camber. There is a high line, low line. You see Strohmeyer on the low line. Brunner takes the high line. Brody McDonald is following suit. Jules Van Kempen, high line where Kerry Werner goes low, and they meet at the exit. Werner having to check up a little bit just to make sure he doesn't run into Jules Van Kempen early in this race, and that is your chase group led by Van Kempen at this point. Brody McDonald hanging tough with the top two elite men in North America, Strohmeyer and Brunner. Van Kempen, Werner, Tyler Clark all chasing. Here we go. Brody McDonald going to the front, lap 2. Strohmeyer on his wheel, Brunner there as well. McDonald showing the cyclocross guys that he can power the pedals as well, especially down that finishing stretch. Kerry Werner leading Tyler Clark and Jules Van Kempen with a pair of Comp Edge riders. That's going to be Zakrajcek and Cody Scott. Back to our M and W hill. Strohmeyer's back out front. We got Brody McDonald in second, Brunner in third. Brunner probably not wanting to be in that position as Brody lets Strohmeyer have a couple more bike lengths. Brunner's going to want to get out ahead of that and track down Strohmeyer. Too early in this race to have him going solo. Coming back towards this long stretch towards pit 1. Strohmeyer begins to lead in exactly what I was saying. Brunner ahead of McDonald. He knows that he has to chase down Andrew Strohmeyer at this point too early in the race as they make that turn for pit 1. Up and out of the saddle for Strohmeyer. He doesn't want to relax yet. He wants to break this race up, make sure that it's manageable, maybe 2-3 people at the front. He's doing a good job of that right now as our chase group is falling a little farther behind with Werner leading the way over Clark and Van Kempen. Looks like Zakrajcek back there trying to close that gap and get into the chase group. This turn right here that they're going through, this has been the big passing zone. Right before all of these twists and turns that you see, this is right at the base of the Capitol steps. So wanting to be in front at this section is a huge advantage, especially if you're a good technical rider like Andrew Strohmeyer is, and that's why he's out front. Brunner is now closed down that early lead that Strohmeyer had and back on his wheel. You can see it's about 2-3 bike lengths, but Strohmeyer so good getting back on his bike and just accelerating. That's his strength. Brunner's strength, as we see Werner riding again, Brunner's strength is going to be in these power sections muscled out. Kerry Werner, Jules Van Kempen. This is the second time they've been into each other. Let's take a look at that one again. There you go, shoulder-to-shoulder action. A little body check into the tape by Werner. Van Kempen knows that's cyclocross racing, doesn't think anything of it, gets back on his bike, and he's going to chase him right back down. Great stuff happening there in our chase group. Nice look across the pond into the back of the venue. As we see our chasers, that is the Clark and Werner and Van Kempen group. Up front, we have our leading pair of Brunner and Strohmeyer making it through the off camber. Brody McDonald now falling off the pace. He's still in that no man's land between the top 2 and the bottom 3. Okay, coming through the off camber here, and we see little bit of a dab there by Brunner. Had to go foot down. He's checking out his chain, making sure that everything's okay, but that allows Strohmeyer once again to get about 4 or 5 bike lengths on him. Just not riding smooth on the exit of that little off camber. Allows Strohmeyer to get the lead once again over Brunner with Brody McDonald in the middle, and we got Tyler Clark, Kerry Werner and Jules Van Kempen chasing it down as they complete pit 2 and make it back to the finishing stretch. And here we go, lap 3. Little slower pace for our leaders. You can see that Strohmeyer still up and out of the saddle, but really not the same intensity that we had a lap ago. We'll see if that allows Brody McDonald to get back into this, or even our chase trio behind him. Tyler Clark leading that campaign as they try to make their way back to the front of this race. Going towards pit 1, and this is a scene that we've seen all season long. Andrew Strohmeyer and Eric Brunner together at the front of a bike race. Oh, nice pass there by Van Kempen as he makes his way around Brody McDonald, who is now on the back of this chase group. He was up with the leaders moments before, now having to go behind, but possibly an issue there. He's looking at his pits, hand half up, probably going to go in. Yep, Brody McDonald going to the pits. We'll check out what the road racer has going on for the bike exchange. Nice job there. Good, smooth exchange. Back on it, back on the power, and hoping to get back into that chase group. And that chase group is led now by Kerry Werner with Tyler Clark on his wheel and Jules Van Kempen in the 3rd spot. And here are our leaders. Great view of the sun starts to go down on the venue. You get that sweet light shining off of Strohmeyer and Brunner as they make their way up the steps. Now it's going to be Kerry Werner dismounting this time. So he was riding it early in traffic. Once he's ahead, he decides to dismount. That is the kind of strategy that only Kerry Werner can employ. Brody McDonald now still trying to play catch up as Dylan Zakrajcek starts to chase him down. And there's Ben Frederick as well, making his way up the Verge steps. Up and out of the saddle, it looks like these guys are starting to race again. They took a little bit of the pace off about a half lap ago, but it's all on once again as we get to the off-camber section. Strohmeyer is going to lead in there. He goes low. Brunner stays high and just sliding out again. He has not mastered that high line yet for Brunner. Just giving up a real estate every time through there. And that's just more matches you have to burn to get back on the wheel if you're making those mistakes in sections like that. Kerry Werner now leading the way to our little off-camber that heads back to pit 2. Clark on his wheel with Jules Van Kempen 3rd in that chase group. Brody McDonald still trying to make his way back, working hard to get to be a part of that chase as well. Dylan Zakrajcek is there, and that's Ben Frederick. Lap 4. Side by side for our 2 leaders. U.S. national champ, defending Pan American champ. Eric Brunner's won this Pan American championship 4 times in a row. Incredible record. He's looking for one for the thumb. Get that 5th Pan American championship in a row. Andrew Strohmeyer's hoping to break that streak today. Jules Van Kempen now out front as we go back to our leaders here. Strohmeyer and Brunner just locked in up the stairs one more time. Back on the bikes and back down. This is another power section that we have that heads to the back of the course as we watch Van Kempen, Werner, and Clark all locked in battle. A little early to say it's for the final podium position, but they have their work cut out for them if they have their eyes on anything other than 3rd place. Up along this tricky off-camber one more time, we see Van Kempen. They are on the off-camber up top while our leading pair are heading towards pit 2. So that gap is starting to grow between our 2 leaders and our 3 chasers. Van Kempen, though, he's done this every week. You think he's out of it, and he just chases down the leaders, and all of a sudden he's fighting for the win. So maybe Jules can do that again here in this Pan American Championship. Lap 5, halfway through the race. Brunner now in front. Strohmeyer on his wheel. It's the first time we've really seen Eric Brunner go to the front of this race. This is an interesting move. See if he can use those power sections to his advantage. Jules still leading the chase. It looks like it's come down a little bit, so maybe the pair in front is starting to slow down a little bit and giving that hope to that chasing trio that maybe they can make it back there up through the WM section. Bruner leading, Strohmeyer not letting him get even an inch. You know, there are some places that you want to leave a lot of space on these tricky sections. There's some space that you can get right on the wheel. When you're on that uphill like that, Strohmeyer's confident that Bruner's going to get that one right, and he is right stuck to the back of his bike. Van Kempen's still leading our chase. And here we go. This is Eric Bruner land right here. This is that road section, and then they're going to hit just this smooth, fast grass all the way back to pit 1. And that's exactly where we are. Coming up pit 1. This is the end of a driving range on a golf course, so you will not find any more beautiful grass than we have at the pit here at DCCX and the Pan American Championships. Super smooth going for all of these riders. They're not going to find better grass anywhere in the country to race your bike on. Up and out of pit 1 and back towards the stair section around the Coast Guard pond. Bruner still leading the way. Strohmeyer just biding his time behind. And you can see that the next pair is in view. And here we go. This is what we've been waiting for. Eric Bruner, this is another power section that takes you to the back of the course, and he is on it. He is accelerated through there, put about 2 or 3 bike lengths onto Strohmeyer. That's exactly what he has to do. He has to use these sections that he's strong into his advantage. Now we're back into the technical sections. Strohmeyer's able to close it off as we head back to our off camber. You know, we're talking about wheel to wheel before. Here you can see that Strohmeyer just letting him go a little bit, just in case that Bruner makes a mistake. He's not going to get stuck behind it. Gives himself an escape valve there to get around if anything goes wrong up front. Kerry Werner down low. All of these riders taking that low line, a little knee out for Jules Van Kempen, having to do those micro adjustments to stay on his bike. Towards pit 2 for our leaders. Kerry Werner now leading the chase with Jules Van Kempen, Tyler Clark dropping back about 2-3 bike lengths. Not in any danger now, but letting a little more space go than he may be comfortable with. 4 laps to go for our leaders. Bruner going to lead another lap. This is his second lap on the front. Strohmeyer on the wheel. There's no tricks between those two. They know exactly what each other are going to do. They've been doing this week after week after week. You know, it's not like one is dominant over another. Both have had wins this season. So this is how we've seen cyclocross in North America play out, with these two just going at each other, and it's always fun to watch every time. Again, we get these long stretches, and this is Bruner's area to shine. This is the long power section. Strohmeyer, though, right there. Bruner almost looking like he gives a little look back, sees Andrew in his rearview mirror. No space between them. Kerry Werner continuing to lead. He would love to get on a podium. And here we go. This is where we said was the passing zone. Exactly what's happened. Strohmeyer wants to be out front and towards the technical sections. Makes the pass at the end of pit 2. Goes out front, gets out of the saddle, and puts about 2 or 3 bike lengths between himself and Bruner. This is where Strohmeyer can shine, because there are so many little turns, and he's so good at just getting out of his saddle and just accelerating out of every one of them, back on his bike and accelerating. And you can see what happens. 3, 4, 5 bike lanes right away just by getting on his bike and putting in a huge burst. Strohmeyer's able to stretch it out, get a little bit of a lead. Werner and Van Kempen look like they're starting to distance Clark in the chase. And here we go. Strohmeyer into the technical sections. This is the most space that he's had over Bruner coming into this off camber. He's leading the way. It doesn't look like much, but it's a couple more bike lengths than we've seen. And he, again, up and out of the saddle, he is going to be coming into this feature fast. You know, they've sort of taken their time on this in the last couple laps. He is just going all out, no breaks through there. Bruner through cleanly, but he's got to close that gap. You know, he still has some sections left. He's got the whole pit 2 to the finish line, which is a good smooth power section that he'll be able to close it down. So Strohmeyer has to do the work while he can, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's taking advantage of the places where he's stronger and forcing Bruner to burn a match to get back onto the wheel. Heading towards pit 2 now. We got Werner and Van Kempen. They have distanced Tyler Clark. You can see him coming through in the distance, but this is your battle for the third spot on the podium. Kerry Werner and Jules Van Kempen, as we see Tyler Clark now solidly in 5th place. 3 laps to go. Bruner's done exactly what we were talking about. He's closed the gap during the power section. Little slip out from Strohmeyer coming around that turn, just putting down a little too much power of his own. Jules Van Kempen now going in front of Kerry Werner as they make their turns through, take their time in the turns through the field at the top of the course. They're going to be heading towards the planks. And there we are. There we see Strohmeyer at the planks, really accelerating much faster through there. You could see just how much he attacked those planks versus Brunner. Another advantage, a couple more bike lengths gained as he hits the M. And this is just 10 seconds later, and already Strohmeyer has opened up a gap. This is about a 2-second gap as he used the planks really as a launching pad to make that attack. Not even like an all-out attack, just a death by 1,000 cuts here. Every turn, out of the saddle, attack, 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 and it's finally broken free of Eric Brunner. Look at that gap. Out of the M, out of the W, we're to this power section towards pit 1. And you can just see that the energy has gone out for Eric Brunner. He is not coming out of these turns as hard as he was. Doesn't have that snap anymore. Doesn't have that acceleration. This may be it with about 2.5 laps to go. Meanwhile, nothing is decided in 3rd place. This is the battle of the day. Kerry Werner, Jules Van Kempen, boom, pulling out the ride. He knows he's got the lead. Andrew Strohmeyer is confident to take that move. Doesn't have to dismount for it. Just another nail in the coffin for Eric Brunner as Strohmeyer continues to stretch out that lead. Meanwhile, Jules Van Kempen, Kerry Werner battling it out. Would have been interesting to see if Werner would pull out the ride move there as well, but he hasn't. He did that early in the race, but ever since has been dismounting every time as we see Andrew Strohmeyer heading back towards pit 2. And you can just see the distance, the difference in pace between Strohmeyer and Brunner as they come through that section. Van Kempen and Werner are still locked up in battle, though. This one is undecided between those two. Coming up the finishing stretch, Werner taking on some fluids, getting ready for the battle with 2 laps to go. Strohmeyer smoothly up there, takes a little glance to his left, and Brunner sliding out again, just losing even more time on that. He's going to have to gather himself as any chance to catch Strohmeyer, but at this point, as he looks over to his left one more time and doesn't even see Brunner because he's not to the entrance of the pit lane yet. So this is about a 10-15 second lead, if not more, for Strohmeyer at this point. Kerry Werner leading the way in our chase for 3rd place. Great battle between these two as they are locked up. See if anybody makes a pass here. This is where we've seen it all race long. Van Kempen doesn't want to at that point. He's just going to stick to the wheel. We come to the off-camber section. We're following this duo. This is the best battle in our race right now. They're going to come to this tricky off-camber. Werner goes down low. Van Kempen right on his wheel. They are locked together. No advantage gained in 1 lap to go for Andrew Strohmeyer. He's from Maryland, but this is a hometown race for him here in D.C., CXTV Trek Bikes. His team located in Washington, D.C., and one of the race organizers for this Pan American Championship. Jules Van Kempen now has gone out front of Kerry Werner with 1 lap to go, looking for that 3rd place position. This is a race that you don't want to come from behind. You want to lead. You want to be in front for the whole time, and that's exactly what Van Kempen does. He gets through this field section. They're going to head towards the planks. Locked together. Boom. Andrew Strohmeyer showing the style. He knows he has that lead. He knows he has this race in hand. Is just able to put on a show for the fans. Huge crowd out here at the Armed Forces Retirement Home. Riding the steps one more time, wave to the crowd and off he goes to the back of the course for the final time. Meanwhile, Van Kempen, Werner come through pit 2. This is where the action has happened. I'm going to see what happens. Is Werner able to make a move? And absolutely, yes, that's what he does. We knew that's where the passes were going to happen, and that's exactly what Kerry Werner does. Goes out front. He's attacking Jules Van Kempen. He's looking for that third spot on the podium. It's all in for Kerry Werner at this point as they head towards the turns and to the steps for the final time. It'll be interesting to see what Werner does. Is he going to try to just end it here and ride these steps, or is he going to be conservative? And he is. He's going to run them, and he's going to take Jules all the way to the finish on this one. Not going into that bag of tricks. But look at this. Jules Van Kempen able to get back out front of Kerry Werner, making the pass on the back of the course. He's going to be the first one into this tricky off camber. Let's watch it. There it is. That's your race for third. Kerry Werner getting it a little wrong on the off camber. Meanwhile, Andrew Strohmeyer soaking it in. That is your new men's elite Pan American champion, Andrew Strohmeyer. Doing it for Grandma here. Big hugs at the end. Jules Van Kempen racing to the end. He's got that lead now over Kerry Werner. He should have third place in hand. Great battle between those two. A disappointed Eric Bruner. Won't get that 5th in a row, but a good battle as always between those two. Those are your two best riders in North America on the men's side. Great third place finish for Jules Van Kempen. He is stoked on that one. Kerry Werner. Maybe the last time we see him racing in a UCI race at DCCX. Former champion of this race. Great to see him back there getting a little race debrief with Tyler Clark. And here is your podium and your new Pan American champion, Andrew Strohmeyer. All right, let's take a look at the results for this race, and then we will hear from our race winner, Andrew Strohmeyer.
All right, Andrew, all business this weekend. It seemed like you had a goal out there for this race, and it seemed like it worked out. But same story we've seen all season. You and Eric, just kind of talk me through those first couple laps. It seemed like y'all were just kind of doing your thing, but nobody really wanted to make that move.
Yeah. Coming into today, I knew that I needed to get it down to just me and Eric pretty much as soon as possible. Just to race with us two, so we didn't have to deal with a big group racing. So I went to the front early, and no one really seemed to want to go super hard, so I decided to go to the front. And I don't think there was much disadvantage to just leading on this course, which is not a ton of drafting. So pushed the pace a little bit, got it down to just me and him, and then it got tactical, figure out how to race and how to win. So
when it didn't look like there was any, I don't know, I missed it. I think Bodie might have got it, but was there an actual move, or was there a point where you were able to make that separation, or was it more, like a death by 1,000 cuts out there?
Yeah, it was drawn out. It was probably over 7-10 minutes, like over a lap of really pushing to be able to get the gap. And through the first couple laps, I was pushing and testing, seeing where I was faster, where I could make a move, and it wasn't clear. So I decided to push on the backside of the course and see. Wasn't able to get a gap, but I noticed at every corner I had a little more, so I kept on it through the start finish, and then really just waited until the barriers and through the W section and went as hard as I could through there. Came out with a little gap, and then I was just full gas and really on it for the rest of the lap, and that solidified the gap because, I think we both had to sit up at some point, and if I could just hold out a little bit longer, then I could get the gap to grow. So
the crowd pleaser, riding the steps, I know you have that skill, but also doing that in such an important race, decision there, just big enough lead that you felt comfortable with it?
No, so it was in my back pocket the whole time. I wasn't going to do it the first couple laps because don't want to show that card. it was really, if it came down to the last lap and me and him, I was going to ride the stairs and attack from there. But I knew I'd be able to do it, and I knew I could do it. I was just waiting to use that to solidify a gap instead of create a gap. So, yeah.
So I know Charm City, you're a Maryland guy, so Charm City really more hometown as that goes, but as far as your CXD goes, Washington DC team, just to win it here in front of this crowd, I mean, you can't get a better home field advantage than that. It was really cool to see.
No, and this feels like home. I mean, we've been doing this as a local race for the past few years, and I was just saying this morning that the season always starts at DCCX. No matter when it is, like this year, I marked this day on my calendar and said this is the start of my season and this is when I'm going to be good. So yeah, it worked out and the season starts now. So
well, congratulations. Sweet New Jersey there. Look forward to seeing you in it the rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you.